We made this.
Hello all, and welcome to the quote-unquote first episode of Pick a Gig, the bonus side content for the Pick a Disc podcast. I'm your host, Matt Latham, and this is the podcast where I talk to people about live music. It's kind of weird, I keep going on autopilot, and I've probably recorded this a couple of times where I've been saying the usual spiel, but this is the another attempt at doing Pick a Gig, but this time I'm not talking to myself for far too long. I've actually got a guest, and I was talking to Seb Lowe about live music experiences, his first gig memories and gigs he's got coming up and stuff, and just about his history of live music. And it was a really nice conversation, a lot of fun. He's got one of the best first gig stories I've ever heard from someone. I think he's raised the bar a bit too high. No first gig story is going to touch that probably. For a long while anyway. But yeah, if you're listening to this for the first time, feel free to follow Pick a Disc on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Just search for Pick a Disc. It usually is me. We're on Discord. There's a Discord in the chat and stuff. And yeah, if you do like this, feel free to listen to some of the main episodes where I talk to people about albums that they want to talk about for any reason they want to. So yeah, that's it. That's the intro spiel. I hope to make more of these because this is a lot of fun. It was a fun chat, and it's really nice to talk to people about live music, and I look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to speak to more people about it. Please let me know if you enjoy this episode, and to try and get more. I'll be interested to hear what you say, and yeah. But yeah, thanks for Seb for coming on to talk to me, and thanks for Johnny at Gigs and Tours for helping set this up, and for just everyone who's listening for listening. But I've rabbited on about far too long. Let's talk to Seb. Okay, I read you've just come back from the Isle of Wight festival. Is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still recovered from that yet, or?
In the process of recovery, kind of gearing up for Glastonbury, which is just around the corner.
I'll speak to you about Glastonbury in a bit. But Seb Lowe, you're as I just mentioned before we start recording, you're the kind of the lucky/unlucky. I'm not sure what to call. Yeah, the first person. Yeah, the first person to go on the Pick a Gig kind of bonus episodes. But this is more or less just going to chat to you about live music and about why it's ace.
Yes.
Have you always been a fan of live music, or when did the urge to like play music kick in?
When did the urge to play music? So, yeah, I'd say I've always been into it. I used to go down to a festival kind of annually with my dad when I was really young. Camp Festival.
Okay.
It was, yeah. And used to watch all of these different artists, a lot of whom I'm sort of into now. So I remember Sinead O'Connor was one of the artists playing there, Billy Bragg, both of which, you know, I'm a big fan of. I remember going to Bruce Springsteen. That's one which sticks out in my mind, and was probably a really kind of big moment for me, because I remember my dad sort of like jibbed us to the front of the front of the festival, because at the time he was in the police. And he was like to the security guard, "Oh yeah, I'm a police officer myself. I kind of, you know, this is my son. It's his first gig, and it was my first ever gig."
Oh, okay.
Going to, I was on my dad's shoulders right at the front. I remember Bruce giving me his guitar pick, handed it to me.
Wow.
Pretty like directly. And I've lost the guitar pick now, so the story has absolutely no credibility, but it is true.
Wow.
And it's a kind of moment which did stick with me.
I was going to say, how old were you then?
I must have been like 6, 7.
Wow.
So
okay.
Quite young. So it's the first kind of musical live thing in my brain that I can remember. And it was, I mean, such a proper vivid memory. And I think at that age, Bruce Springsteen was the guy who I was into. I'd memorise all of his words.
Okay.
Forced my family to listen to me singing "Born in the USA."
At what point did they start regretting taking you?
Oh God! Instantly. I think most of all was my classmates, because there was one instance when I was in primary school in like year one, year two, where I got them all to, at the end of school, to stay behind and listen to me sing a plethora of songs, one of which was "Born in the USA," another "Eye of the Tiger," "We Will Rock You," and I made them listen to all of this a cappella, sang with absolute confidence. But yeah, I was an absolute nightmare in that sense. But I think it was those kind of things at a young age which sort of all had this kind of air of music.
Oh wow! So so you've got like a generally interesting first gig experience. Yeah. So you haven't got that kind of embarrassing kind of stigma / fun you can sometimes get. Yeah, like my first gig experience is technically Steps. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Brilliant.
but to be fair, I mean, I can't remember much from it, but well, it was a lot of fun. But that was like way back. But when Bruce Springsteen kind of handed you the pick,
Yes.
was that like the moment you thought, I'm going to do this? Or
No. I was way too young to even have a clue. But I did ask for a guitar. I can't remember whether this was shortly after or a bit of a time after. I said to my dad, can I have a guitar? He bought me like one of those really small guitars. And he was like, loved the idea that I'd be picking up the guitar. He loves guitar himself. He plays a bit. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll teach you how to play guitar. I must have done about 2 sessions with him, like gave it up. Yeah. There was this kid in my primary school who used to like sit when he was like in year 5, year 6. This kid, when in your head at that age is really old. And he used to sit on the tables, benches, playing guitar, and I thought that was really cool. He had this blue guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what his name is now. He had this blue guitar, and he used to play it to all of the classmates. And I was like, yeah, I want that. I didn't even have the drive remotely to learn. But like, you were at that age where you just kind of say, I want to do that, and then you immediately stop wanting to do it. Basketball lessons for 2 weeks, gave that up. So that was guitar initially. And then it wasn't till like my dad made me listen to a load of Led Zeppelin in the car, where I thought, I really like music now. And I used to listen to Stairway to Heaven on my way to school every morning. And there's a hill next to my house.
Yeah.
So I'd listen to the whole first kind of 5 minutes, 6 minutes for Stairway to Heaven. And then when the guitar kicks in, I sprinted down the hill on my way to school. It's a pretty steep hill, but it really kind of woke you up. But at that kind of age, I had a very kind of limited understanding of music or knowledge of music. So it was the stuff like Stairway to Heaven, where I was like, this is the best song ever. I love music. Then eventually I picked up the guitar again, and then there you go.
Okay, so when did you start kind of writing songs with the aim of performing them? Was that shortly after, or?
Yeah, it was a bit. I think I must have been about 13, 14, probably. I'd always like written words and stuff and stories, poems. But when I kind of started to get somewhat okay at playing guitar, and I am only now somewhat okay, it's like I stopped as soon as I was able to write a song, and I was like, okay, that's all I need now. I need a few chords. And now I've got a band, it's like, oh, they can just do all the rest.
Three chords and the truth and all that.
Just started like chucking words and guitar with each other. But the main focus has always been the words and the vocals and the vocal melody, because that's kind of what's always been my thing. I've always loved singing before I played any other instruments or anything like that.
So what was the first gig you remember playing?
First gig I remember playing. There's a range. Like, the first ever time I was like on stage doing something which sticks in my head, it was with my school choir in like primary school, and I did a singing cover of Ain't No Sunshine at the Queen Elizabeth Hall, which is in Oldham. It's like a big kind of concert hall. And that was really fun, but I can't even quite remember how fun it was. But the first time it was like Seb Lowe plays guitar and sings songs was only really recently, where it was like my own music. And I believe, if I can't think of one earlier than that, it was last year.
Okay.
Lions Den on Deansgate in Manchester. Before then, I'd done quite a few like cover gigs at pubs in my local sort of area, but never doing my own stuff. And then that was pretty exclusively my music at the Lions Den.
Oh, okay. Was that supporting? So that was...
Yeah. That was just acoustic support. It's a weird kind of feeling when you go from doing cover songs to doing your own music, because you just suddenly have this big feeling of nobody's that interested. As soon as you start doing your own, especially as a support, it's like there's this feeling of like, are they interested? I can't tell, because they're not singing along, and they're not cheering because they don't know the song. They're listening to the song with a straight face, and then you never know until after the gig when people come up to you and like, "Oh yeah, that was great." Then you're like, "Okay, they must have been okay."
Oh, okay. Do you remember the first person that came up to you and said they enjoyed you? Do you remember the first moment, or?
Yeah, it was the bands at this gig at the Lions Den in Manchester, who were all so lovely and were all being so nice. And that was like, again, this really cool feeling, which was unique, which was this kind of allegiance amongst bands, which is like, yeah, we're all kind of going to be shouting about each other. We're all trying to make it in the music scene. And that was just really, really cool.
I think last year, so I'm assuming it was just when gigs started up again after the COVID and the venues were shut. So I'm assuming there was like a real thirst for just live music again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So did you find that energy when you was playing at first, or where people was just happy to be
absolutely, but like, again, there was like this kind of period of where people weren't that sure whether they were ready to go out yet. So a lot of gigs were like sort of less, the crowds weren't as big as had been expected, but that's kind of picking up again now. There was this, because like I'd started taking music seriously before I even had the chance to get a gig. Like I started taking it seriously in lockdown on social media. So for me, it was this thing of like that whole side of doing music, which is like how so many bands would start out, and like that's like their first kind of stepping stones are gigs. That whole side to me was completely left alone while I was building up this social media thing. So when I finally got to do the gigs part, there was this like disparity where I was like, I am so uncomfortable live. I don't know how to do that. Which has been this whole getting better and better at it, I think, over time. But at the start, it was social media is great, but live, no idea. But that was part of the fun, I suppose.
Oh, okay. So what's been some of your more favourite moments as a performer then? So what were some of your favourite gigs as a performer?
I'd definitely say my headline at Gorilla. by miles. That is just always sticks in my head. And then alongside that, the headline at Neighbourhood, which was really recently. Because like previous to then, I'd just been on my own with an acoustic guitar. And I'd always like thought, oh, something's missing here. I need something more. And I'd always told myself that will be a band. And then I'd done all these practices with the band. So I'd done my headline at Night and Day, and that was great because the reaction was great. And the atmosphere was really kind of warm and supportive. But I still felt like the music was lacking a bit. Like there needed to be more, something, another kind of step. And then when I did the Gorilla gig, we'd been practicing for ages, and the guys playing with me, just absolutely brilliant. And you could really kind of feel that difference. So I started the set completely acoustic, and then the band came on midway through, and it just lifted it to a whole nother level. And that was particularly noticeable at Neighbourhood, where I'd gone in. And there were a few people there who knew me and wanted to watch me, but it was almost like you could tell that the band playing kind of drew people. It had much more to it.
You just felt fuller. Yeah, just like...
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, that's always kind of the main thing, is just, how does it sound? You get a bit addicted to that part of it when you go a bit insane. We're in a practice room with like no windows.
Yeah.
And you were all kind of going insane trying to make this song sound a certain way. And it's such a good feeling when it gets there. And then you're constantly thinking of, what more could we add now? What more could we do? So we recently did this like jazz set, which was piano, drums and guitar and acoustic guitar. We changed a couple of the songs. And that was great fun. So stuff like that, like the next steps in music. It went from like acoustic to me playing acoustic and then electric guitar, then to band, then to acoustic and piano, then to band, then to this whatever. Just see what we can.
So 2024 full orchestra.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. What? And that's the kind of thing where I'd be like, I really want to do that.
Yeah.
So don't even put that idea in my head. It won't be leaving now.
Oh, I apologise to everyone else. So you've got some interesting things coming up as well. So you've got So you mentioned you got Glastonbury coming up on the. Is it the? No, we've got that somewhere. It's the Left Field stage.
Yes,
that's curated by Billy Bragg, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
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 So. Yeah, so like I'm assuming that I think because he contacts it, so he's personally chose you to.
Yeah, well, it seems that way. Yeah, I mean, he messaged me on the old socials. I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was like a fake account.
Yeah.
Just trying to have me on, but then it ended up not being a fake account, and it's all bloody going on now. So yeah, I mean. Massively grateful to him because it's just great, and that whole stage is just great. The whole purpose behind it and everything.
Yeah, I mean I've just got the kind of lined up here and stuff, and it's I would say I've never been to Glastonbury before, but I just know it's. Have you ever been there before, or is it your first time? Or
first time going?
First time going and playing
in itself, yeah.
Yeah, I mean I've never been, and part of me kind of wants to, but I don't know. It just feels slightly overwhelming. But I mean, the lineup for that stage alone is like it's a city festival on its own.
Festival,
yeah. But yeah, so so there's. I mean, I could easily just go. That's a good lineup for all those 3 days.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyone you personally looking forward to watching yourself or?
Yeah, I really want to. I mean, speaking about that stage, I really want to give both Jamie Webster and Yard Act a watch because I haven't had the chance to see those guys live yet. I would say Brooke Coombe, but I got the chance to see her at Red Rum Club. Hopefully I can see her again. I mean, I think she's great. Tom A. Smith, another guy who's actually with me on the Radical Roundup. But heard a lot about him. Listened to his tunes. I think he's really cool. Paul McCartney is a massive one, of course.
Yeah. Just Paul, yeah.
Robert Plant, of course, as I was explaining before about Led Zeppelin being kind of the thing which got me into music, I'd say.
You got to be careful just in case he starts playing Stairway to Heaven, you start running
and
around.
I just start running
yeah.
directly into the stage.
Yeah.
Like when you get hypnotized.
Or muscle memory. Muscle memory.
Yeah, muscle memory. Like when I snap, you fall over.
Yeah.
When the guitar kicks in, I'm just...
just start running through a bunch of people. But that should be quite exciting as well. And you've also got a couple of local headlines as well, haven't is it Oldham and Hyde,
Oldham and Hyde, yes. So looking at doing some local stuff, because Manchester's great. Of course, the centre of town. There's so much going on, but I think a local headline is just such a cool thing. It's such a cool thing that those venues are there. And they save you. They save like travel money as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. So it's like just more or less to stay on the road and stuff.
I'm just like in the aftermath of a ferry there and back from the whole night. That was absolutely showing it.
A journey and a half.
It is a journey.
So what's the local scene like in Oldham then, in terms of music?
It's cool. It's got a decent history as well. I mean, I've been listening to Barclay James Harvest, quite a bit of Barclay James Harvest recently. And they're from different places, but one of which is Saddleworth, which is where I'm from. Saddleworth, Oldham. Mockingbird is an absolutely brilliant song by them. And then you've got, obviously, in Spiral Carpets. And it's just Mike Sweeney lives here, and I'm like, he lives where I live. He's not from where I live, but he lives around here. So I've met and spoke to him quite a few times, just like at the pub. And he's quite a good family friend. And there's a lot of bands constantly forming, and because it's like a small area where I live, it's always this kind of thing of like, you see like the same guitarist in multiple bands, jumping from band to band, or bands changing names and they drop one member and then it's a new band, because the human resources are quite limited, but the music scene is definitely going off. I was in a band in school. We didn't do anything or get anywhere, but we were in a band. And we wrote together, and that was just so much fun. Yeah, there's definitely a scene. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when are those gigs in Oldham and Hyde?
So Oldham is the 12th of August, I believe. That's at the Railway. Hyde would be the 19th of August. But if anyone's watching, double check that, because I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's the 19th. It's the 18th or 19th. Almost certain it's the 19th.
It's on a day that ends in Y.
That's a pop.
Yeah.
Pop in Hyde, which only recently announced. Never been to Pop in Hyde, but like heard a lot about it. Should be cool. Should be groovy.
Oh, okay.
And the railway's a nice little place.
Yeah, and you're also playing Neighbourhood Festival in October in central Manchester. Yeah. I know I'm heading up to that. It's the first time I've ever been to anything neighbourhood related.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I saw the lineup and I was like, yeah, got to go. But so you said you've played at other neighbourhood festivals.
Yeah, a couple. So done they did this Neighbourhood Presents things with Miles Kane headlining. Red Rum Club and Brookcombe and me. I was first on, and that was such a good do. start to finish, and then obviously just done Neighbourhood Festival, which was insane, like nothing I've ever experienced, and then I've got this one in October, which I'm really looking forward to as well, because they haven't done it in a few years.
Yeah, I've looked at it. I mean, yeah, I think I noticed it a couple of times in the past, and I never went. But I say I'm much more a fan of city festivals, if I'm honest. I don't know whether I'm my age now. The thought of me going to sleeping in a tent kind of.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm much more a fan of like city festivals and stuff, and I'm quite looking forward to the Manchester City one. So do you know whereabouts you're playing yet, or are you not allowed to say that?
I'm not sure. I'm not certain. But I think that'll be something I am certain of soon, hopefully. It's funny that you say that about sleeping in a tent. That is a memory from the Isle of Wight. I get really bad hay fever.
Oh yeah, no, tell me about it.
I woke up the day of the gig, with my eyes struggling to open, like couldn't open my eyes. My nose completely blocked up.
Mm-hmm.
And my tent had just become a sauna over the course of the night. And I was like, oh my God, I'm playing in 2 hours. Because I had 2 gigs. I had one earlier on in the day and one later on. Yeah, tents are something else. They're quite cozy when you go to bed, though. Just when you wake up.
Yeah, I mean, the warmer than I remember expecting them to be. It's just that what usually happens the first night of a festival, I can never sleep, and I'm just hearing people talk, because I'm someone who will try and get to sleep about 11, half 11, because I'm not a night person, and then you just hear everything and you can't sleep, and then but the second day is when you try and stay up for all the late night stuff, but then it hit midnight and I'm like, no, I gotta go, and I'm dead to the world for 8 hours. And I miss a load of stuff, but yeah, I'm if I can get to a festival and drive there and back, that's much better. But But say I've not been to Neighbourhood Festival. I mean, anyone you'd recommend on the lineup?
Stone. I sincerely recommend Stone.
Oh, okay.
Well, I supported Stone. They're honestly really, really cool. Really good kind of stage presence. You know, they properly tear the roof off. Yeah, the men. And Louis Dunford supported him as well. He's writes. I mean, if you've listened to any Louis Dunford, you just know that he writes some beautiful music.
I've not listened.
And he's he's a really lovely guy as well.
I'll definitely check him out.
I'd give Louis Dunford a listen.
That whole row with Alfie Templeman and Baby Queen. That whole row can pretty much sold the festival for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
I'd listened to when we were hooligans, Louis Dunford. That's a good song. And Stone, Let's Dance to the Real Thing. And these are like songs when you're a support act on tour with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been on tour with Stone and Louis Dunford. You end up watching their music every single night when you watch them. And one credit to both of those acts is that you just didn't get bored. Like there was always something to it, and the tunes are that good. So yeah, those two sincerely recommend.
Oh, okay. So and I think we're pretty much near the end of our conversation, Seb, so it's been an absolute joy. The only thing perhaps I might ask you now, have you got any future plans in terms of going as an audience member? Have you got any gigs you're planning to go to, not to play, or just to, have you got anything planned?
I'm planning on going to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think given all these festivals that I've got coming up, like that's like just to watch some of the acts there is just unreal.
Mm.
And I recently watched the Rolling Stones at Anfield, which was like a dream come true. That was the 10th, and they were incredible. So I think I'm just going to kind of have my fill of these festivals and watching. I mean, Glastonbury in particular is just going to be immense of it. And then I'm gonna see. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. So
I was thinking about watching the Red Hot Chili Peppers tomorrow, because I think there's a few tickets available still. So that's a potential.
Oh, okay. I mean, part of me's always kind of been interested to see what they'll be like live, at least once anyway. But that might be a decent gig, yeah. But yeah, so I think we're pretty much at the end of our chat now, Seb, and it's been a lot of fun. I think as guinea pigs go, I think you've guinea pigs really well as the first first one. So if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
So I'm on seb.lowe.music on pretty much everything other than Twitter, because Twitter don't let you do dots on the username. So I'm Seb_Lowe_music on Twitter. On Spotify, Seb Lowe, and I've got a few tunes out on a bunch of different streaming platforms under Seb Lowe. So yeah, give it a listen if you fancy.
Oh, okay, definitely do. I have actually been really enjoying Terms and Conditions at the moment. I think it's a great song. But yeah, so again, thank you ever so much for coming on, and yeah.
Thanks for having me, man. Cheers. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to Pick a Disc, and I've been your host, Matthew Latham. Our theme music is Pump by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Pick a Disc is hosted by the We Made This podcast network, and you can find them on www.spreaker.com/user/We Made This. You can find the Pick a Disc show site on www.spreaker.com/show/pickadisc. You can find us on all the usual social media type places like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter under Pick a Disc. You can also email us on pickadisc@gmail.com. Until next time, happy listening to all those discs that you are picking. Goodbye.
Elsewhere on We Made This. We dig music.
This is evidence enough that I was kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Particularly because your initial choice was from 1986.
It was on a 1978 playlist. People that do year-based playlists need to calm the fuck down and check their facts. I mean, granted, I am a person that's done a year-based playlist and I need to calm down and check my fucking facts, which is fine, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But, like...
Or you can just do what I do and just say, no, it's a compilation album that was released in that year and I'm definitely going to do it.
I can't do that because he... Yes, no. Chris Rea has a time machine. He released a compilation of his mid-80s tracks.
But you know,
earlier.
The weird thing is, so yeah, we switched this one out quite late on in our preparation for the
last
podcast,
night,
and it made fuck all difference to any of our notes.
A Dream Given Form, a Babylon 5 podcast.
On a science fiction heavy TV series, I'm not sure how much you can push the boundaries that way. So I think it has to be in terms of storytelling, in character, in progressiveness, I think. And kind of looking back at Sense8, I think that's a good way of going forward.
So what are your thoughts kind of around the idea of the CW network being a network to pick up the Babylon 5 reboot?
I don't know whether it's the right one or not, in all honesty. And with the recent kind of announcement that CW is being sold, which is why the pilot script's not been picked up.
Frame to frame.
The overarching narrative of Nolan's trilogy is so good. Nolan dedicated an entire movie to us understanding Bruce Wayne and why Bruce Wayne wanted to become the embodiment of fear. That's what that groundwork is, what then allows the Dark Knight to become the incredibly tortured, bleak, like almost nihilistic beast that it is, in which there's no such thing as a hero. There are no heroes.
No, exactly. But as a question to you, are you suggesting then, if a film hypothetically was to exist without giving us the Batman Begin portion, but to exist in, I don't know, the second or third year of the Batman story that is dark, bleak and nihilistic, if it was not to have the Batman Begins, do you think it wouldn't quite work as well as the Dark Knight?
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.